So carrying on with our discussion on MDI applications, multiple document interface applications, I want to take a look at the Singleton design pattern. Just a quick look at our good friend Wikipedia here will give us a little bit of insight into the origin of the name Singleton and exactly what it means. The concept of a singleton, or a single set, single member set, is called a singleton. And the Singleton pattern design simply states that in object-oriented design, we want to have just a single instance of each object at each time. So looking at the form application, a Windows form application, we really just want to have a single form. In this case, let's say a single piecework form running at one time. You don't want to be able to open up multiple instances of that form. A little bit of management required to be able to make this work. So the Singleton design pattern simply follows what you've done with your business logic in terms of creating properties and then property procedures to instantiate or to return instances of those properties. So in this case, I've got a payroll form and I've declared a shared payroll instance property. It's private to just that module. But then I've opened up the read-only property that will actually return an instance of the payroll form as long as one doesn't exist. So this lovely logic here, if payroll instance is nothing, then payroll instance equals new FRM payroll. And there's your instantiation right there. And that will not happen anytime there's an existing instance of payroll. So that's what will prevent you from opening multiple child forms of the same form within a parent container. And then of course you return the instance. You also need, in terms of the variable inside the calling method, so in this case it's going to be inside the parent container, probably on a menu item click or a button click. You just go ahead and declare a payroll form instance using that instance property procedure. And then of course, to make it a child, you simply set the MDI parent property equal to me being the current form, or in this case the parent container. The last piece of this puzzle is making sure that you manage that instance. So if you remember, I'm just going to go back over here, we check to see if the instance is nothing. If it is nothing, then we create a new instance. Well, we want to make sure when we close the form that we set the instance to nothing so that a second instance or any subsequent instances can be recreated and returned. So this again is inside the payroll form, and it's the form closing event. This PowerPoint of course is available under Lab 5 resources, and that's the link to the Wikipedia page that goes in a little bit more detail on Singleton. So let's take a look at a little bit of code here. I'm just going to run this application just to give you a look. So here's my parent, and I've got my status bar down here. I've got a file menu that gets me exit, and of course there's hotkeys. View, I can view payroll or summary. There's my window. Let's look at the about, just for fun. So this is actually an SDI form. It's not a child. And I'm showing it modal, and there is a requirement in Lab 5 for you to continue to show your summary form as an SDI modal form. So I've got to close that to deal with that. I'm going to view payroll. There's my payroll form. It can move anywhere inside this container, but that's as far as it'll go. I can't drag it out of there. So there's my payroll form. There's the pay. And then I can go over here and see some summary. There's my summary. It's a really interesting thing that happens here though. I've got summary, and I can just leave that open. I click summary again. I'm not getting another instance. I'd go ahead and click payroll again. I'm just taken back to the original instance. There's no multiple instances of these forms opening because I've enforced it through the Singleton pattern design. So I'm going to clear this. Now what's going on with the summary over here? I've only processed one employee, I have 0 overtime hours and total payroll. But watch what happens. I still have focus on the payroll form. As soon as I activate that summary, it's updated. So right now with your lab, I'm not sure whether or not summary has a load method where you're setting all of those labels? If so, you're probably going to want to change that to the activated method, because it's when the form is activated that the trigger of that updating of the labels is going to take place. And you can see something else is happening down here in my message label. Right now the active form is payroll summary, ace widgets and flanges payroll summary display. I go back and I just get ace widgets flanges payroll entry. So I'm going to close that. Something else I'm not sure if you noticed or not, and this again will help you a little bit with the lab. One of the requirements is updating your message in the status bar label down here. Calculate, and I get a message saying payroll successfully updated down here. So all this stuff is going on. There's the activated event of the form, which will manage the update of any form like your summary form. It'll also manage messages that go to the status bar. On the event where I actually successfully calculate payroll, I'm going to go ahead and change the message down here. So I'm going to exit out of here. In the next video, we're going to actually take a look at the code that makes a lot of what we just demoed happen for you for your Lab 5.